Yeah, because perfect example. Arthur worked with me on when I was a truck driver.
No.
Yeah. Arthur worked with me.
Remember Jeffrey Silver?
Yeah.
Jeffrey was doing construction, and this is when he told me that Arthur couldn't keep the job. He didn't want to work. He just.
No, well, the thing is what's discouraging about it is that when you think about the amount of talent that we had as a group and what we were doing. And particularly in Arthur's case, because
I don't want to get off subject. But how was Arthur like when you driving the truck?
He was cool.
He did the gig.
He was. Okay. He was. Really,
maybe this was later. He didn't want to.
No. He was good. He was pretty strong. He was pretty strong. It was a challenge to him as well as Adrian too. The both of them went through spaghetti legs. But
Adrian looks like a big guy.
Adrian's a big dude, but he had to go through a little bit of it too. I was conditioned. I kind of reached that point back then, and I think that job was what really helped me to reach that point. And we translated that into the music also, where the music is one thing, but the beautiful part about the music is when you reach the place that you can apply and release pressure. Then you got something going on.
Did Arthur talk about that with you?
Oh, we discussed all of those concepts musically because that was important to us.
Because I saw Arthur apply it a lot. I didn't see him. I didn't see him
release
it a lot.
No, he didn't release too much. He had the pit bull approach.
he just applied it and squeezed harder and harder
kept going,
until you screamed, and he kept still going to squeeze. There was no. Sometimes you would think, how does he get back?
Yeah. So it was. That was the reason that we were doing what we were doing, because we knew that place. That was home to us. And that's what we did with Eternity, because what was interesting is that when we used to open up for Larry Coryell, it was wonderful in the beginning. Here it is, these young guys are coming in and they're doing this jazz fusion stuff and it sounds great and everything else. But at a certain point, the pressure that we were applying was so much that I do remember at one point people and my friend Kim Harris brought it back to my attention, because I'm kind of humble about all of those days. A lot of people. I did
smiling because I think I knew where you're going.
I did radio in Los Angeles for a long time.
I know.
I never really talked about
KXLU.
Yeah.
I think I contacted you one time.
And I never did any. I never really talked to too many people about that whole piece of history. So a lot of people.
Why is that?
Well, it's just that
Who would know?
And then you get some folks that are like, so who does he think he is, and blah blah blah, all of that type of stuff. So it wasn't really about that, because that kind of speaks and it spoke and it will speak for itself. In terms of what was done, that's history right now.
Yeah.
So, but the beautiful part about it was that when we would do the Coryell gigs, after a certain point, we would get audience people coming to us saying, why are you guys opening up for them?
That's why I was laughing. I knew it was coming, because my next question was, what was the relationship between Coryell and Arthur?
No, actually, I have to say, Larry was really cool.
He was?
Larry was.
He used to call Arthur the tenor player, though.
Yeah.
Right? Or the piano player?
He used to say something.
Did he give it up for Arthur, though, or no?
Well, from my recollection was that he was pretty cool. Well, you see, you got to remember too. There was probably just a slight amount of little cockiness about us too, in some little way.
In little way?
No, it was not. Believe me, it was kind of bridled.
I heard Arthur talk about that.
No, it was a bit bridled, because there was a time where I really didn't tolerate that whole egomania thing with Colin or Arthur. Matter of fact, I got a great story, because they used to get on my case about my playing with certain things, and I told them, I said, well, look, I said, if you guys think that...
How would they get on you?
Well, because I was really just about kind of going after what we were going after. So when it came down to playing like standards and stuff like that, I wasn't as interested in that as I was
standards. What do they stand?
Well, like a blues tune or whatever it was. Like Arthur might want to play like a Hendrix blues or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. With the electric instruments. My interest didn't as much lean in that direction for whatever the reason was. But the thing was that Arthur used to kind of rib me about it quite a bit. Although I didn't have a problem playing any of the stuff that we did, but at the same time, he would get on my case a little bit about it. And at one point, it became an issue, and I told him and Colin, I said, if you guys feel that way, what you should maybe do is start searching to see if you could find somebody who could do what I do, and then I'll step aside. You know, just bring them in, and I'll step aside.
In other words, we're not doing the blues.
No, it never. No, but it.
Because
no.
they were getting that.
Yeah,
they weren't gonna do that.
But I think it was more so the thing of not really being that big-headed about it, to think that I wasn't replaceable, and that if they thought that they had somebody who could replace me, and
But
believe
they
me,
didn't.
there was some. No, they didn't. It never happened. You know, but I'll always remember looking back at saying that to both of them. I mean, I sat them down just like we're sitting here, and I said that, you know, if you guys want to find somebody else, bring them in and start doing that. So it was an interesting period, because there was a lot of interaction, you know, and then the whole thing. A lot of people have this thing. I didn't really like Colin's playing as much as I did Adrian, because after playing with Adrian for such a long period of time, of course, and then Colin comes in. You know, Colin didn't have the jazz flavor that Adrian did. So for me, I was in a whole different ball game. But you know what I learned? Because we got a guy named Larry Bright to play with us as well. Larry Bright, a great drummer, great musician. But he was more coming from the kind of the George Duke salsa kind of. He played all of that samba kind of style really well. Great player. But what happened was that there was a point I fired Colin. I actually reached a point in the group where I fired Colin and replaced Colin with Larry Bright. But life taught me a greater lesson there, because Larry Bright, as good as he was, he didn't really work as well as Colin did in what we were doing. You know? So yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic that happens in the balance of players. You know, there's a chemistry that just kind of fits.
Yeah, that me one time. I was working an Italian disco band in Boston. We had a horrible keyboard player.
Yeah.
And I got a politics to get rid of her and get my friend in there.
Yeah.
My friend was great, but like Herbie Hancock, but he totally did.
Yeah.
Band sucked.
Couldn't find that place that you could go to with the other one. So Adrian's father had a great saying that he used to say to us. He said, well, this had something to do with something else, because Arthur was notoriously late for rehearsals. So yeah, he would be late. He would be like 15 minutes, like 20 minutes late.
I'm late too a lot. We used to have this bet. It was $1 a minute. Yeah. Or it's $1 a minute. Anybody was asked to pay $1 a minute, I always lost. That was $1 a minute. It was like $1 every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It always came out to $5.
Yeah.
I always came out. I'd be 10 minutes late and owe $5. Arthur was better than me.
Yeah. But you know, all in all, I feel really good, because throughout all of the various. Yeah.
Thank you.
Throughout all of the various members in the group, I think that all in all we got a chance to do some really good stuff. The impact that we had on what I would probably say was a generation of musicians was significant. You know, and I feel really good, because
an underground generation.
Yeah, an underground. Yeah.
Those who were in the running lead. You guys definitely had
Yeah, so it was, I feel fortunate, and I feel blessed.
Inner circle, there was a huge inner circle.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, all in all, it was cool. I had a great time, and I look back and I feel really good that, I was inspired to even think of doing something, because I would have been in some big trouble. I'd have probably been in jail or something, because, in Brooklyn there was a lot of trouble to get into. Particularly for young kids living in East Flatbush and wherever in Brooklyn, there was a lot of trouble.
Did you have a two-parent household?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have two
Well, there you go.
But I was still about doing my own thing though, So I was out there doing all kind of stuff,
So why did you not?
Well, once I got locked into the music, that was it. I kind of knew where I wanted to go. I knew I was resolved in my mind what I wanted to do, and that's just what I pursued at that point. Everything else kind of just dropped by the wayside.